The Law of One Session 68, August 18, 1981.
Ra, I am Ra. I greet you in the love and in the light of the one infinite Creator. We communicate now.
Questioner, could you first please give me an indication of the instrument's condition?
Ra, I am Ra. This instrument's physical energies are depleted completely. The remainder is as previously stated.
Questioner, with the physical energies depleted completely, should I continue with the session? I'm not sure exactly what that means.
Ra, I am Ra. We have available transferred energy which is due to the service offered by two of this group and, therefore, we are able to continue. Were it not for this transferred energy, the instrument whose will is strong would have depleted its vital energies by willing the available resources. Thus, if there is no transfer of energy, and if the instrument seems depleted to the extent it now is, it is well to refrain from using the instrument. If there is energy transferred, this service may be accepted without damage to the distortion of normal vital energy. We may note that the physical energy has been exhausted, not due to the distortion toward pain, although this is great at this space/time, but primarily due to the cumulative effects of continual experience of this distortion.
Questioner, would you recommend a greater rest period between the end of the session and the next session? Would that help the instrument?
Ra, I am Ra. We might suggest, as always, that the support group watch the instrument with care and make the decision based upon observation. It is not within our capacity to specifically recommend a future decision. We would note that our previous recommendation of one working on alternate diurnal periods did not take into account the fragility of the instrument, and thus we would ask your forgiveness for this suggestion. At this nexus, our distortion is towards a flexible scheduling of workings based upon, as we said, the support group's decisions concerning the instrument. We would again note that there is a fine line between the care of the instrument for continued use which we find acceptable and the proper understanding, if you will excuse this misnomer, of the entire group's need to work in service. Thus, if the instrument's condition is truly marginal, by all means let more rest occur between workings. However, if there is desire for the working and the instrument is at all able, in your careful opinion, it is, shall we say, a well-done action for this group to work. We cannot be more precise, for this contact is a function of your free will.
Questioner, the primary reason that we considered it important to have this session today is that I might not be around for a while, and I had a pressing question about what happened Sunday night when, apparently, the instrument was slipping into a trance state during one of the normal meetings, and I would like to question you on this. Can you give me information about what happened?
Ra, I am Ra. We can.
Questioner, would you tell me what happened in that case?
Ra, I am Ra. We have instructed this instrument to refrain from calling us unless it is within this set of circumscribed circumstances. In the event of which you speak, this instrument was asked a question which pertained to what you have been calling the raw material. This instrument was providing the voice for our brothers and sisters of the wisdom density known to you as Lhwi. This instrument thought to itself, I do not know this answer. I wish I were channeling Ra. The ones of Lhwi found themselves in the position of being approached by the Orion entity which seeks to be of service in its own way. The instrument began to prepare for Ra contact. Lhwi knew that if this was completed, the Orion entity would have an opportunity which Lhwi wished to avoid. It is fortunate for this instrument, firstly, that Lhwi is of fifth density and able to deal with that particular vibratory complex which the Orion entity was manifesting, and, secondly, that there were those in the support group at that time which sent great amounts of support to the instrument in this crux. Thus what occurred was the ones of I never let go of this instrument, although this came perilously close to breaking the way of confusion. It continued to hold its connection with the mind/body/spirit complex of the instrument and to generate information through it even as the instrument began to slip out of its physical vehicle. The act of continued communication caused the entity to be unable to grasp the instrument's mind/body/spirit complex, and after but a small measure of your space/time I recovered the now completely amalgamated instrument and gave it continued communication to steady it during the transition back into integration.
Questioner, could you tell me what the plan of the fifth density negatively oriented entity was and how it would have accomplished it and what the results would have been if it had worked?
Ra, I am Ra. The plan, which is ongoing, was to take the mind/body/spirit complex while it was separated from its yellow body physical complex shell, to then place this mind/body/spirit complex within the negative portions of your time/space. The shell would then become that of the unknowing, unconscious entity and could be, shall we say, worked upon to cause malfunction which would end in coma and then in what you call the death of the body. At this point the higher self of the instrument would have the choice of leaving the mind/body/spirit complex in negative we correct time/space or of allowing incarnation in space/time of equivalent vibration and polarity distortions. Thus this entity would become a negatively polarized entity without the advantage of native negative polarization. It would find a long path to the Creator under these circumstances, although the path would inevitably end well.
Questioner, then you are saying that if this fifth density negative entity is successful in its attempts to transfer the mind/body/spirit complex when that complex is in what we call the trance state to negatively polarized time/space, then the higher self has no choice but to allow incarnation in negatively polarized space/time? Is that correct?
Ra, I am Ra. This is incorrect. The higher self could allow the mind/body/spirit complex to remain in time/space. However, it is unlikely that the higher self would do so indefinitely due to its distortion towards the belief that the function of the mind/body/spirit complex is to experience and learn from other selves, thus experiencing the Creator. A highly polarized positive mind/body/spirit complex surrounded by negative portions of space/time will experience only darkness, for like the magnet, there is no, shall we say, likeness. Thus a barrier is automatically formed.
Questioner, let me be sure that I understand you. Is that darkness experienced in negative space/time or in negative time/space?
Ra, I am Ra. Negative time/space.
Questioner, incarnation in negative space/time then in a condition like that would result in incarnation into which density level 4, let us take as an example, the instrument?
Ra, I am Ra. The answer to this query violates the first distortion.
Questioner, okay, let's not take the instrument then as an example. Let's say that this was done to a wanderer of 6th density. If this answer violates the first distortion, don't answer. But let's say a 6th density wanderer had this happen, and went into negative time/space. Would that be a 6th density negative time/space, and would he incarnate into 6th density negative space/time?
Ra, I am Ra. Your assumption is correct. The strength of the polarization would be matched as far as possible. In some positive 6th density wanderers the approximation would not quite be complete due to the paucity of negative 6th density energy fields of the equivalent strength.
Questioner, is the reason that this could be done the fact that the wanderer's mind/body/spirit complex extracted in what we call the trance state, leaving the 3rd density physical, In this state the wanderer does not have the full capability to magically defend itself. Is this correct?
Ra, I am Ra. In the case of this instrument, this is correct. This is also correct when applied almost without exception to those instruments working in trance which have not consciously experienced magical training in time/space in the, shall we say, present incarnation. The entities of your density capable of magical defense in this situation are extremely rare.
Questioner, it would seem to me that since I can't imagine anything worse, shall I say, than this particular result, other than possibly the total disintegration of the mind/body/spirit complex due to nuclear bomb, that it would be very advisable to seek out the magical training and defense for this situation. Would Rahi instruct in this type of magical defense?
Ra, I am Ra. This request lies beyond the first distortion. The entity seeking magical ability must do so in a certain manner. We may give instructions of a general nature. This we have already done. The instrument has begun the process of balancing the self. This is a lengthy process. To take an entity before it is ready and offer it the scepter of magical power is to infringe in an unbalanced manner. We may suggest with some asperity that the instrument never call upon Rahi in any way while unprotected by the configuration which is at this time present.
Questioner, we have been speaking almost precisely of the portion of the Esmeralda Sweetwater book which we wrote having to do with Trostrix's misplacement of the space girl's mind/body/spirit complex. What is the significance of that work that we did with respect to our lives? It has been confusing to me for some time how that meshes in. Can you tell me that?
Ra, I am Ra. We scan each and find we may speak.
Questioner, would you please do so now?
Ra, I am Ra. We confirm the following which is already, shall we say, supposed, or hypothesized. When the commitment was made between two of this group to work for the betterment of the planetary sphere, this commitment activated a possibility/probability vortex of some strength. The experience of generating this volume was unusual in that it was visualized as if watching the moving picture. Time had become available in its present moment form. The scenario of the volume went smoothly until the ending of the volume. You could not end the volume, and the ending was not visualized as the entire body of the material but was written or authored. This is due to the action of free will in all of the creation. However, the volume contains a view of significant events, both symbolically and specifically, which you saw under the influence of the magnetic attraction which was released when the commitment was made in full memory of the dedication of this, what you may call, mission restored.
Questioner, we have a situation with which I am concerned having to do with the understanding, I shall say, poor word of course, completely This activity occurs due to polarity. I think that it is important for me to investigate the techniques, if they are within the first distortion, of the fifth density negative entity who wishes to displace the mind/body/spirit complexes of this group. Am I within the first distortion in asking you to describe how this entity goes about this working?
Ra, I am Ra. You are.
Questioner, well, how does the fifth density entity go about this working from the very start of his being alerted to the fact that we exist? How does that occur? Can you please trace the steps that he involves himself in? Please.
Ra, I am Ra. The entity becomes aware of power. This power has the capacity of energizing those which may be available for harvest. This entity is desirous of disabling this power source. It sends its legions. Temptations are offered. They are ignored or rejected. The power source persists and indeed improves its inner connections of harmony and love of service. The entity determines that it must needs attempt the disabling itself. By means of projection it enters the vicinity of this power source. It assesses the situation. It is bound by the first distortion but may take advantage of any free will distortion. The free will, pre-incarnative distortions of the instrument with regards to the physical vehicle seem the most promising target. Any distortion away from service to others is also appropriate. When the instrument leaves its physical vehicle it does so freely. Thus the misplacement of the mind/body/spirit complex of the instrument would not be a violation of its free will if it followed the entity freely. This is the process. We are aware of your pressing desire to know how to become impervious as a group to any influences such as this. The processes which you seek are a matter of your free choice. You are aware of the principles of magical work. We cannot speak to advise but can only suggest, as we have before, that it would be appropriate for this group to embark upon such a path as a group, but not individually, for obvious reasons.
Questioner: I am interested in how the first distortion applies to the negatively polarized entity misplacing the mind/body/spirit complex. Why is the negatively polarized entity followed to the place of negative time/space? Why would one of us freely follow the entity?
Ra, I am Ra. The positive polarity sees love in all things. The negative polarity is clever.
Questioner: then I am assuming if the negative polarity used any other approach that did not use the free will of the other self, he would lose magical polarization and power. This is correct, isn't it?
Ra, I am Ra. This is correct. The transferred energy grows low. We wish to close. Are there any short queries before we leave this instrument?
Questioner: only is there anything that we can do to make the instrument more comfortable or improve the contact?
Ra, I am Ra. You are conscientious. We realize your necessity for these queries. All is well, my friends. We thank you and leave you in the love and in the light of the one infinite Creator. Go forth, therefore, rejoicing in the power and in the peace of the one infinite Creator. Adonai.